Welcome back, brethren. We're continuing our study in the seven trumpets, and now we're going to go back and go through 4 and 5. We started last session. We went through a lot of background. So if there's things you don't understand and you're in this session, go back to the previous video, which has much more detail. So we went into the third trumpet and saw that that was the beginning of what was termed now Christianity as an established religion. Christianity had not been an established religion in any other time period. The previous time periods had basically people becoming converts to the followers of the Messiah, who was a Hebrew and received his doctrine from the Old Testament prophets. Some were followers of a different religion called Judaism. Judaism is what the Sanhedrin of the scribes and Pharisees followed, what Paul called the Jews' religion. It is not Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and it is certainly not Moses. It added things to the original writings. It added rules and regulations to the original commands and took away rules from the original commands, as the Messiah mentioned when he talked to the Sanhedrin and said, "You teach for doctrine the commandments of men." And he was quoting the prophet Isaiah when he said that. So there's a religion called Judaism that is not the religion of the Messiah. There's a religion called Christianity. It is not the religion of the Messiah. The religion of the Messiah is the same as Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, all the Old Testament prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel. All of those men were members or citizens of the nation of Israel, whose God is Yahweh. And he gave them his law, and he only gave it to them. And then he made this statement, Moses did, or should I say the Heavenly Father did, through Moses when he talked to Israel. And in fact, the book, especially the book of Deuteronomy, which is real name of the book of Deuteronomy is "These Be the Words." That is the real name, Adabarim. How do I know that? It's the first sentence of the book. That's how these books are really named, the first sentences of the book. And the first sentences of the book of Deuteronomy is "These be the words." And if you want to know the first sentences of each book, is very easy. Genesis, in the beginning. Exodus, Yahweh named Israel. Leviticus, Yahweh called Moses. Numbers, Yahweh spoke to Moses. Deuteronomy, these be the words. Okay, very simple. Genesis, in the beginning. Exodus, Yahweh named Israel. Leviticus, Yahweh called Moses. Numbers, Yahweh spake to Moses. Deuteronomy, these be the words. See how it flows? It's no accident. So this here is "these be the words." This is the word that the Most High spake to all Israel through Moses. Okay, these be the words. When you look at "these be the words," Deuteronomy, you look at chapter 4. Chapter 4 of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 Deuteronomy, and let's read verses 1 and 2. Chapter 4 of Deuteronomy, verses 1 and 2. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 1 and 2. Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live and go in and possess the land which Yahweh Most High of your fathers giveth you. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of Yahweh your Most High, which I command you. So the warning here is, if you add or take away from the commandments the Father gave through Moses, You do not have his word. And so when the Messiah rebuked the Sanhedrin and said, you teach for doctrines the commandments of men, he's telling them they do not have Moses. They do not have the word. They have the Jews' religion. Okay? So that was how man is turned away from the Father, by following commandments of men. Okay? Following commandments of men. And so when we seek the Father, we seek his words, his word, and we seek it by his spirit. Yah is a spirit, is what the Messiah told the woman Samaritan. Yah is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. You speak to the Creator by a spirit. Your words can be said in your mind or in your heart, but it's the spirit that's speaking to the Creator. And as we saw in the book of Revelation, the 24 elders have each of them incense, and the incense is representing the words of prayers of the saints. Okay, so that is how we speak to the Father, and that how we worship the Father. You do not worship him in a religion made of man. So Judaism was practiced in the first century. And then there were followers of the Messiah who practiced what was given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and had no name except the God, Yahweh. And they called them people followers of the way. But then heathen people would call the followers of the way being a person called Messiah, who said, I am the way, the truth, the life. They called them, the heathen said, oh, Christian, Christos. And they would call the Messiah in Greek, Jesus Christos. The word Zeus being referenced of an anointed god of the Greeks, what they call anointed. So, brethren, there was no established religion of Christianity in the first, second, third, or fourth century. It wasn't until the fourth century, let me correct myself, that you had that come under Constantine. And it wasn't until the 6th century when the French king said, the Bishop of Rome is the corrector of all heretics. Then it became an official religion. Now, let's take note. The Bible shows us that the name of the nation of Israel came from the Creator himself. That Abraham's name came from the Creator himself. Isaac's name came from the Creator himself. Jacob's name, Jacob, came from Isaac, but then his name was changed to Yashar'al by the Creator himself. And Jacob's 12 sons became the nation of Yashar'al by the Creator himself. When Christianity was developed in the 4th century, it was developed by Gentiles. Has the Most High given the Gentiles any permission to create a religion? Have, in the word, have the Creator gave the Gentiles permission to create a religion? The thing is that the Gentiles in their arrogance are missing. Paul said it. You're only with us by faith. He said it. Romans chapter 11. Romans chapter 11. We already were there. Romans chapter 11. Romans 11 is talking about the natural branches of the olive tree which the olive tree is representing the nation of Israel. Let me repeat that for those in the back. The olive tree that Paul is speaking on represents the nation of Israel. It does not represent a religion. So let's look at this in Romans chapter 11. I'm going to begin at verse 13, and I'm going to go from verse 13 down to verse 21 so that you understand the severity of creating a religion from Gentiles called Christianity, which the Bible never does. Romans chapter 11, beginning at verse 13. For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles. I magnify mine office, if by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches were broken off, and thou, he's speaking to Roman Gentiles, and thou, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them. Note now, so there's a olive tree that the Gentiles are grafted into among. The Gentiles are called the wild olive tree, grafted into the Israelite olive tree, not the other way around. Let's keep reading. And if some of the branches are broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches. But if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. You are being borne up by the Hebrews. You ain't bearing up the Hebrews. Verse 19, thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if Yahweh spared not the natural branches, take heed, lest he also spare not thee. They're the natural, we are the natural branches. And he later says, we can come back to our tree because we're the natural branches. And in fact, we have shown both in many witnesses, the book of Deuteronomy, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Zechariah, Zephaniah, that we will come back to our natural tree. So the religion of Christianity started in the third church with Pergamos and Balaam, the third seal with the black horse, and the third trumpet, which is the wormwood. Now, we looked at the fourth now. The fourth church is Thyatira, Revelation chapter 2. Revelation chapter 2. So that by the time you get to the 4th century, you have a Gentile-led movement for the establishment of a religion. That alone, if you read the Bible, will tell you it's an impossibility that belongs to the Creator, or that the people of that belong to the Creator. It's an impossibility. Anyway, not if the Bible is true. Revelation chapter 2, the 4th church, beginning at verse 18. Revelation chapter 2, the 4th church, beginning at verse 18. And unto the angel of the church of Thyatira write, these things saith the Son of Yahweh, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. I know thy works, and charity, and service, and faith, and thy patience, and thy works, the last to be more than the first. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication, and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. And I gave her space to repent of her fornication, and she repented not. He introduces Jezebel, the wife of Ahab, a woman that came from a nation that worshiped Baal, the sun god, and introduced that worship to the children of Israel. A woman that brought a God that was not Yahweh into the nation of Israel, the northern tribes. And that is perfect in that it describes perfectly Christianity. A woman that was not given from Yahweh, but was brought to the children of Israel. Is that what happened or not? Are not the captive children of Israel, captive in European colonized places, captive to Christianity? So that is perfect. Then we had the fourth seal in Revelation chapter 6. Notice the fourth seal, Revelation chapter 6, beginning at verse 7. Revelation chapter 6, beginning at verse 7 and reading verse 7 and verse 8. Revelation chapter 6, verses 7 and 8. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And behold, and looked, and I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And the name of that him that sat, and that his name that sat on him, was Death, and hell followed after him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So we had the fourth part here. Power was given to kill over the fourth part of the earth. No, brethren, I had not looked up fourth. I'm not. So I can't tell you what it is. I can tell you what third is, as we talked about, but I can't tell you what fourth is. But anyway, it's pale. It's death. It's pale and it's death, brethren. Okay? It's Jezebel. So now, what happened, brethren? Constantine changed what was called the Roman Empire into the Byzantine Empire. That's historical. Constantine created an eastern capital of the Byzantine Empire. It was called Constantinople. That was the 4th century. And then that same empire was in power in the 6th century when Christianity was announced, developed, whatever you want to call it. Okay? So Christianity is now part of the Byzantine Empire, so that the Byzantine Empire becomes a Gentile-ruled and Gentile-created Christian empire, which from the Bible tells you it is illegitimate to the Creator. It is not legitimate. It is not from the Creator. It is not from the Hebrews. It is from the Gentiles. And they're not even grafted in Christianity. They're not even grafted in because that religion did not come from the Creator. To be grafted in, you must be grafted into Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Does that make sense, y'all? You cannot be grafted in to a Gentile-led religion. There is no Christianity in the Bible. And I defy anybody. People that I give this challenge to, they'll bring up those 3 verses where it says Christian. That's not telling you, none of those instances are talking to you about a religion. They're talking individually about a person, not a religion. And it's an epithet. It's a name that's being called. It is not a religion. You have a religion when you have the establishment of a corporate entity. The Roman Catholic Church is a corporation. Just like the United States of America is a corporation. Just like every religion on the planet that's Christian is a corporation. And once you create a corporation, you've made a man-made industry, period. And as the Bible already showed us, it's business. It's business. Okay? So the fourth seal was death. The fourth church is Jezebel. What does it say in Revelation about the fourth trumpet? Revelation chapter 8. Oh, yes. And the third, of course, we know that the third trumpet is wormwood and a fallen devil. And now the fourth trumpet. Revelation chapter 8, beginning at verse 12, and we'll read verse 12 and 13. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for the third part of it, and the night likewise. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to them, to the inhabitants of planet Earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound. So these trumpet calls are woes to planet Earth. They are the trumpet sounds of the assemblies representing periods of time where people are not being heard. People are not being heard by the Creator. That does not mean they're not being heard by the devil. Because as you recall, the power of the little horn that Daniel says rules by craft, the Bible says not by his own power. And the Bible also says in Revelation 13, and the dragon gives him his power and his seat and great authority. The dragon rules man-made religion, because man-made religion is man-made, based on a doctrine that Satan introduced in the Garden of Eden to Eve when he said, the Most High knows, in the day you eat this fruit and disobey him, you become gods. Okay? There you go. There you go. Okay. So now we have the fourth church, the fourth seal, the fourth trumpet, and we know it's the Byzantine Empire, the Christian empire of the Byzantines that was based, centered, and founded by Gentiles. It is not anything to do with Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob. It is not anything to do with the Hebrews. It is Gentiles. And we did read the scriptures with 4 witnesses that the original chosen people will always be the original chosen people. That the Most High has given the Gentiles nothing. That if he's given any instruction in terms of doctrine, in terms of precepts, commandments, promises, it's to the bloodline. And anyone that's going to receive the blessings of the bloodline will be grafted into the bloodline. You're not going to receive blessings as a Christian. You're not going to be saved as a Christian. There is no heaven for Christians. There is a heaven that has the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, is this true or not? When we read about heaven and it talks about the city of heaven, does it say Christianity? Well, what does it say? It says, written on it is the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. And then in the foundations are the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. So between the 12 tribes and the 12 apostles, what do you have? You have 24 Hebrew Israelites. You have 24 Hebrew Israelites. And around the throne of the Father, we saw 24 Hebrew Israelites. There is no Christianity. There's no Christian heaven. There is none. See, if you want to follow man, they'll tell you there's a Christian heaven. Do that. If that's what you want to do, go do it. I prefer to stay with the Creator's word, his truth, his prophets, his instructions. Christianity is not any of that. That's right. That's right. That's exactly right, Stephen Kelly. The Gentiles were given the gift of the bloodline as an entryway to the blessings of Yahweh. Exactly. Exactly. That is why when we read Galatians 2:16, that you cannot be justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Jesus Christ. Even we have believed in Jesus Christ, that we might be justified by the faith of Jesus Christ, and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified. So you are declared innocent by the faith of the Messiah, which is the Father's righteousness. So the faith of the Messiah brings you the Father's righteousness. And that's how you're become innocent. Because the Messiah not only brings you to the Father, but he's the atonement for your sin. That's why you see me going very slow and very deliberately going through the Bible to make sure every doctrine has 2 or 3 witnesses. Nobody can refute if you're going to follow the King James Bible, what I'm saying. Now, if you're going to follow the NIV, the New King James, the New American Standard Bible, if you're going to follow the New World Translation, the clear word, you can refute everything I say out of those books, but not from the King James. You can't. You can't. Okay. So now we go to the 5th. Now we talked about Islam in Daniel in the South, right? That's exactly right, Stephen Kelly. We talked about Islam, right? So now let's get deeper in Revelation chapter 9 into Islam, how it came to be, why it came to be, and who leads it. This is Revelation chapter 9, beginning at verse 1. Revelation chapter 9, beginning at verse 1. And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Now, we already know who the star was that fell from heaven. It's not changed. We saw the star fall from heaven in Revelation 8:10, right? In the third part, the third angel of the 3 of the trumpets, right? It says, and the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven. It's still the same star that fell from heaven. So again, when we're looking at Revelation chapter 9, verse 1, it's the same Lucifer. It's the same one. Everybody got me so far? It's the same one. It's not different. He's showing him again another manifestation that the devil's getting ready to bring forth. Let me stop there. He's showing us again another manifestation that the devil will bring forth. Did not Messiah say, if Satan cast out Satan, his kingdom cannot stand? Did Messiah say that? He said, if Satan cast out Satan, his kingdom cannot stand. Did Messiah say that? Testing 1, 2, 3. Did Messiah say that? He did say that. He said, if Satan cast out Satan, his kingdom cannot stand. Okay. Well, let me ask you this question then. According to the Bible, will Satan's kingdom stand? Will Satan's kingdom stand? In fact, did not the Messiah say, the gates of hell shall not prevail? Didn't he say that? Yes. So it will not stand. So it's not impossible for Asatan to develop multiple movements that even fight against each other. Okay? It's not impossible. Okay? In fact, there is a modern name for it. Oh, yes. Tell me if you ever heard this term before. Have you ever heard the term controlled opposition? Is that term new to you, or have you ever heard that before? Controlled opposition. Have you ever heard that term before? Controlled opposition. See, that is the creation of a position that's opposite of the enemy's position, but really with the enemy. Controlled opposition. So here, Asatan's apparently going to create controlled opposition. Okay. And remember that because they love to use it. For example, whenever it appears that the office of the President of the United States and the office of the Pope of the Vatican is at odds, remember the term controlled opposition. Remember the term. The bottomless pit. Now, if you were to look up the bottomless pit, right? If you were to look up, let me see, let's look it up. If you were to look up bottomless pit in the Bible, and if you were to look it up and get its meaning, bottomless pit, okay? Let's see here. What you would find in Revelation chapter 9, what you would find in terms of bottomless pit, it says depthless, that is abyss, a pit, a depthless abyss. Now, in the Old Testament, when the word pit is used in the Old Testament, the word pit, what is the word pit? In the Old Testament, it's representing a grave. The word pit is representing a grave. Okay. In the Old Testament, the word pit is a grave. So the bottomless pit is an abyss of a grave. Okay. Does that make sense, y'all? It's a bottomless grave. So this fallen angel is given the key to a bottomless grave. What does the Bible say with respect? In fact, the word pit is, it represents, it's called shakath in Hebrew, H7743, a pit, figurative, corruption, destruction, ditch, grave. 77845, and then there's another one that says Sheol. We know that's the same thing. Grave, hell, pit, same thing. Okay, so it represents the grave. It's a bottomless grave, and the devil has been given the key to it. In fact, let's take a look. Or he was given the key to it before Messiah overcame him. But in Hebrews, it says in the book of Hebrews, chapter 2, Hebrews chapter 2. Going to start Hebrews chapter 2, and we're just diverting. We're going to be right back to Revelation chapter 9, but hold on. Hebrews chapter 2, beginning at verse 14. Hebrews chapter 2, beginning at verse 14 down to verse 18. For as much then as the children are partakers of flesh and blood, he, that's talking about Messiah, he also himself likewise took part of the same, that through death he might destroy him that had the power of death, that is, the devil, and deliver them who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. For verily he took not on him the nature of angels, but he took on him the seed of Abraham. He took on the seed of Abraham to deliver the seed of Abraham from the fear of death. Wherefore, in all things it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren, the seed of Abraham, that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to Yahweh, to make reconciliation for the sins of the people. For in that he himself suffered, being tempted, he is able to succor them that are tempted. Praise the Most High. So this, in the Revelation chapter 9, this angel is the angel of death. That is Asatan. Okay, verse 2. So in his lab called the bottomless pit, he created something. This is Revelation chapter 9, verse 2. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. So the sun and the air were darkened because of the smoke of the pit. Whenever there's darkness, is no truth. Y'all got that? Remember now, as we were going through the seals, we were going through the trumpets. Whenever there's darkness, the people of Yah are not bringing out truth, and it's dark. So when he opened this pit, darkness came up, and it covered the sun, the darkness. Okay, verse 3. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as scorpions of the earth have power. So let me ask you a question, brethren. What part of the scorpion brings this poison and the sting? Is it the head of the scorpion that brings the sting? What part of the scorpion? And is the scorpion blessed of Yahweh? Does he represent truth? So in the tail of the scorpion, is the sting, brethren. And the scorpion is not representative of the Father. In fact, what animal? We know the animal that's representative of the Father. The Father's animal is being represented by the lamb, not a scorpion. And then there's another animal, a lion. Again, not a scorpion, but a scorpion is being represented here. A scorpion came, and he came out of the bottomless pit. So the scorpion came from the devil. Scorpion came from the devil. Interesting. Okay, interesting. Let's keep reading. Verse 3. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of Yahweh in their foreheads. So they weren't trying to destroy the earth. These aren't the four angels of Revelation chapter 7 that is given to them to destroy the earth. No, these were only sent to the men who have not Yah's seal in their foreheads. People of man-made religion. You got that? This is not to Father Yah's chosen Hebrews. This is people of man-made religions that these scorpions were sent to. Interesting. Okay. Verse 5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment is as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. Now, wait. So, 5 months. 5 months in Bible, 150 days. In Bible prophecy, 150 years. Does that make sense, y'all? It said 5 months, right? It said 5 months. They should be tormented 5 months. And the 5 months is 150 days, which is 150 years. Is there a significant 150-year period in prophecy that would have to have arisen after the establishment of the Byzantine Empire? Yes. And again, I want you to look this up. This is history. This is history. 150-year period. Don't guess two shots. There's no 150-year jubilee. Is there a 150-year period after the rise of the Byzantine Empire? The Byzantine Empire. Now, let's talk about the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire started in 1299 AD. Let me say that again, and please let me know you heard me. The Ottoman Empire is a Muslim empire that started in 1299 AD. Okay? That would be 700 years, almost 800 years after the establishment of the religion of Christianity. Okay. Now, Islam started in the 7th century. So now this Ottoman Empire came into existence some 600 years after the creation or after the discovery of Islam. So the Ottoman Empire, an Islamic empire, came into existence in 1299, almost 800 years or 700 years after the discovery by Muhammad of the religion of Islam. Okay. In 1303, a significant event took place in the Ottoman Empire. In 1303, the Byzantine Empire fell to the Ottomans, or began to fall. And it didn't fall, it began to fall. 1303. Okay. There was a battle called the Battle of Dimbos. The Battle of Dimbos. D-I-M. In fact, let me put it in the chat for you so you can look it up. 1303, Dimbos. D-I-M-B-O-S. It's a weird name. Look it up. 1303. Now, the 1303 Battle of Dimbos, it established the raid. It was a raid by the Ottomans on the Byzantine Empire. Dimbos was a key spot for the Byzantines, and the Ottomans took it in the Battle of Dimbos. Now, 150 years later, let me say that again. 1303 plus 150 years, right? 1303 plus 150 years. What year are you in? Even Castle King, you could do this. You add 1303 and you add 150 years to it. Where are you? That's right, 1453. Well, then, you would expect a significant event to take place in 1453. And it did. That was when Constantinople fell and was taken over by the Ottoman Empire. Now, the name didn't get changed right away, but later on in the Ottoman Empire, they changed the name of Constantinople to Istanbul. But they took over Constantinople. They raided it, sacked it, and took it. So now the Byzantine Empire was finished with the raid of Constantinople in 1453. So there was no more Byzantine Empire. But you still had Rome in 1453. You still had Papal Rome. You still had Holy Roman Europe. But now you had to deal with the Ottoman Empire in 1453. Does that make sense, y'all? Everybody with me so far? So the 150-year prophecy had to do with the Muslim Ottomans attacking the Christian Byzantines until the Christian Byzantine Empire fell in 1453. Okay, you still had the Roman Catholic Church, it still had power and it still had sway. But the Ottoman was trying to, there you go, thank you, Akawan Banya. The Ottoman Empire was trying to overtake Christianity. So they were fighting against Christianity with the purpose of converting them to Islam. They couldn't do it. Okay, so there was a standoff. You had the Ottoman Empire, and then you had the Roman Catholic Church and Christianity. You just didn't have the Byzantine Empire in Turkey anymore. It was Ottoman now. Okay, now let's keep going. So now you know now the 150 months was the attack of the Muslims on Christianity. Okay, back to Revelation chapter 9. Revelation chapter 9, verse 6. In those days men shall seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were, as it were, crowns like gold. It didn't say they were gold. It said they were like gold. Whereas we know that the 24 elders had what? Crowns of gold, right? But these didn't have crowns of gold. They had crowns that looked like gold, a facsimile. Okay, let's keep reading. And the shapes of the locusts were like horses prepared unto battle. On their heads, as it were, crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron. Iron breastplates. Okay, there you go. And the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running into battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails. Tails represent what, brethren? Tails represent what? According to the definition in the Bible, tails represent, and let's go to Isaiah chapter 9. Isaiah chapter 9. When they talk about tails, Isaiah chapter 9, verse 14 and 15. Isaiah chapter 9, actually, let's look at from verse 14, 15, and 16. Isaiah chapter 9, 14, 15, and 16, the tail. Isaiah chapter 9, 14, 15, and 16. What does it say? Therefore, Yahweh will cut off from Israel head and tail, branch and rush in one day. The ancient and honorable, he is the head. And the prophet that teaches lies, he is the tail. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. So the prophet that teaches lies represents the tail, and they lead people to err or error. Okay, everybody got me so far? So far, so good. Back to Revelation chapter 9. And they had tails like unto scorpions, verse 10, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. So they had stings in their tails. The lies they brought irritated people. And for 150 years, they hurt the Christianity. 150 years. Verse 11. This is Revelation chapter 9, verse 11. And they had a king over them. The king, of course, we know, the angel of the bottomless pit, which is the devil. They had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, and in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. Now, in Greek and Hebrew, these are two different words, but they mean the exact same thing. Apollyon and Abaddon is destruction. This is the angel of destruction. He is the angel that fell from heaven. He is the angel of death, and he is the angel of destruction. And he has people that have tails like scorpions that teach lies. Ooh, that's heavy, isn't it? And they fought against Christianity for 150 years. But they weren't finished there. Oh, they weren't finished there. Oh, just because they didn't overcome Rome, that doesn't mean they were finished. As we're going to see in the sixth trumpet. We're going to see in the sixth trumpet. Okay, the destroyer. So they came through destroying. And it's very similar if you know about the Crusades of Rome, right? What did the Crusades of Rome? It was supposed to be spreading Christianity. You know, like Christopher Columbus. Yes, like Christopher Columbus. And when was Christopher Columbus? Well, 1492. 1492. That was after 1453, was it not? So after the Byzantine Empire fell, Christopher Columbus was sent out by Rome to expand territory because they couldn't expand going east, could they? Not with the Muslims there, they couldn't. You're following me? So they had to expand going west and south. This they did with Christopher Columbus in 1492. He began to discover all kinds of islands, all kinds of lands, and all kinds of people. And he was given permission by the Pope to just destroy all the people he found that weren't, what did they call them? Heretics. They weren't with Christianity, so they were therefore heretics. Okay? That's right, expand into the new world. So they couldn't expand going east. They were hit with a roadblock of scorpions called the Ottoman Empire. So they had to go west. And that's what they did. You got your pilgrims. You had Christopher Columbus. There you go. And they started expanding west, getting slaves, taking land, killing folks. That's the expansion of Christianity. They divided the land for gain. Whereas Islam started going south into Africa and then continuing east as far as they could. Okay, so that's how you got what you have today in these three Abrahamic religions. There was one problem for Ottoman Empire. They wanted this place called Khazaria. They wanted Khazaria, where there was these people called Ashkenazis. They wanted them to convert to Islam. But the Ashkenazis would not convert. And they couldn't take their land from them. And the Ashkenazis decided, if I had to choose between Christianity and Islam, I will choose C, the religion of the Edomites, Judaism. And that's how you got Ashkenazi Jews. Ashkenaz is from the children of Japhet. You think I'm lying to you? Through Genesis chapter 10. Genesis chapter 10. You want to know where you come from? You want to know where Ashkenazi Jews come from? Genesis chapter 10. Let's look at Genesis 10:3. Genesis 10:3. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, there it is, Rephath, and Togarmah. Well, where does Gomer come from? Verse 2. The sons of Japhet. Gomer is the firstborn of Japhet. Gomer and Magog, who would get together with Tubal and create a chief prince called Gog. So Japhet, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Yavan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tiras. So it's the Gentiles of the Japhet that became Ashkenazi Jews. Now I ask you, let me ask you, does people that are from Japhet, are they the chosen bloodline? So in other words, if somebody's an Ashkenazi Jew, is he the chosen bloodline? Oh, well, why? Why not? Why can't, why? Why not can Cohen and Weinstein and Feinstein and Netanyahu be the chosen bloodline? Why can't they? Why not? Why? Are you anti-Semitic? Oh, because they're not even the bloodline of Shem. That's why. Which is why it's illegal in the state of Israel to get a DNA test. It's illegal in the state of Israel to get a DNA. It's illegal in the state of Israel to get a DNA test. I wonder why. Man. Yes, they are not even of Shem. And that's why Kyrie Irving said, it's impossible for me to be an anti-Semite. That's what he said. Kyrie Irving said that in front of everybody. He said, I'm not anti-Semite. It's impossible. But you see how the Jews that say they are Jews and are not have deceived the earth into thinking that to be against them is to be anti-Semite. It's a deception. It's a deception. Okay. It's a deception. So now you have the three Abrahamic religions. By the time you get to the end of the fifth seal and the fifth trumpet and the fifth church, you got the three Abrahamic religions, which is why it was said in Sardis, thou hast a name that livest and art dead. The name that livest is Abraham. But the death is the three man-made religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. You have a name that lives, Abraham, but you're dead because you're man-made. Did not come from the Father. Okay? Yeah, their grandma is right. Their grandmamas and granddaddies come out the Caucasus Mountains, the Ashkenazis. It says it right there in Genesis chapter 10. See, it's always there for us if we just look for it. Verse 5 said, verse 5, Genesis chapter 10, 5 said, by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, one after his tongue. Everyone after his tongue, after his families and their nations. So the Gentiles come from Japhet, and the Gentiles come from Ashkenaz. So people claiming to be Ashkenazi Jews are trying to say they're Gentile Jews. But they're not grafted into the nation of Israel, and they refuse to receive the Hebrew Israelite Messiah. That is why you get the scripture that say, whoever confesses that Yahweh is Messiah is of Yahweh, because they're receiving the Lion of the tribe of Judah. See, and that's why they say try the spirits, because you got Christians saying, well, we receive Messiah, we receive Jesus. No, you don't. You receive a white European man with a white European religion. That ain't what Moses told us to follow. That's not what Moses told us to follow. Moses said, follow what Yahweh gave you. Don't add to it or take away from it. So no, you can have a white Christianized Jesus if you want to, but that's not ours. That's not our cousin. We recognize our cousin. Game recognize game. We know who our cousin is. And we don't need them to tell us who our cousin is, do we? Since when we need Gentiles to teach us who our fam is? We don't need them telling us who our fam is. They don't even know who their fam is. Exactly. Claiming the blessing, but rejecting the Messiah. Come on now. No, that ain't going to work. See, you can, and you see all of the angles here. So you got one group of people that create for themselves a Christianity religion and create for themselves a Messiah in their own image, which is not the Most High. Then you got another group of people that say they are the chosen people, but they're not the bloodline. They don't come from Shem. They don't come from Abraham. They come from Japhet, and yet they claim to be Hebrew. They're lying. No. Then you got another group of people that say we get a different book from our Arab prophet. No. See, it comes back to the Creator and his chosen people. Always comes back to the Creator and his chosen people. Always. And we got it. We got it from the word. Praise the Most High. 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. Praise the Most High. 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. Praise the Most High. All right. Well, brethren, All right. Well, I think we did all right. So we got through the fifth, which is Islam, the fourth, which is Christianity, right? And the Byzantine Empire, and the fifth, which is Islam. Okay. Now we got to do the sixth, which brings us to us. That takes its own Bible study, our own for us. This is what we call it. What we call it, Castle King. Castle King, no, we call it Fubu. When you get to the sixth trumpet, it's Fubu. Oh yeah, it's Fubu. Y'all remember Fubu, right? Well, some of y'all are too young to remember Fubu. Y'all remember Fubu, right? For us, by us. That's the sixth. That's the sixth trumpet. Oh yes, for us, by us. Praise the Most High. We getting ready to show Fubu in a minute. But within Fubu, you're gonna see first the people whose prayers are not being heard. You're gonna see that first within Fubu. Then you're gonna show the pure bloodline of Fubu. Yeah, that's the sixth trumpet. Praise the Most High. Okay. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, Hebrew, Israelite nation. Shalom.